Greetings to all of humanity. Really a joy. It's a pleasure. It's my honor to be out here connected with nature and bringing this message of emancipation to you, whereby I'm pointing to look inwardly to discover that your real identity is your divinity. And that's why today I want to speak to you concerning Richard Goddard, who would have passed away in the Caribbean island of Barbados, which is just 100 miles away from where I am living right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is just like 30 to 35 minutes away by plane. Okay, so that is just to tell you how close it is. And he was a very prominent businessman in Barbados. And I want to share with you an article that is written in the newspaper of Barbados. So I'm going to read it for you, and you are to read between the lines, and you're going to find out certain things based on this article. So let me get it and read it for you. Now, this is what it says. It says, businessman, activist Richard Goddard passes away. Prominent Barbadian farmer, businessman, activist and environmentalist Richard Goddard has died. Goddard passes away at his bleak house, St. Thomas home, Thursday, succumbing after a bout of pneumonia. He was 85, as in 85 years old. A Barbadian patriot. He was the grandson of one of Barbados' outstanding businessmen, Joseph Goddard. And we all know that Joseph Goddard is the father of Neville Goddard. Okay, so if Richard is not Neville Goddard's son, then he would have to call Neville Goddard uncle. He would mean one of Neville Goddard brother's son. Okay, so I'm going to show you how generational wealth always pass on and so on also. Okay, so you say a Barbadian patriot. He was the grandson of one of Barbados' outstanding businessmen, Joseph Goddard, who founded the well-known Goddard Empire. See, they're calling it Goddard Empire, not Goddard Enterprise anymore, not Goddard and Sons anymore, but Goddard's Empire. And we all know how it really started if we've been listening to Neville Goddard. Okay? Now it says, possessing an intimate knowledge of his own family history, Richard Goddard displayed a love for the history of Barbados, describing it once as a very rich history. He told an interviewer most of the material possessions which he and his kinfolk owned were earned out of hard work and education. You listen? What he says? Out of hard work and education. Hard work and education is something that's been taught to the people of the Caribbean to believe in, more than their own human imagination. So I believe he's using the right words here, except that he's not saying it's academic education. He just said education. But when you have the education of self, which is self-knowledge, that's real education, because real education is from within. Okay? So it says that the let me go back to the kinfolks own their kinfolks owned. Let me go back to the start. He told an interviewer most of the material possessions which he and his kinfolks owned were earned out of hard work and education. After detailing how his ancestors had ended up as poor whites and landless for about 50 years. After one of those ancestors had forfeited an inheritance of 10 acres of land and 2 slaves. And 2 slaves. Let me repeat that a third time. And 2 slaves. Which means it is saying right here that his ancestors actually owned slaves and was part of the slave master system in the island. That's what this is saying right here. Not me saying it. This is what the article is saying. Okay? And they are repeating what he would have told them. Okay? So for 50 years, they had to be without land and so on. Okay? But what about the people of the Caribbean who been forfeited for so many years? Who still seeking reparations? Read between the lines, okay? So he have a record of his ancestors based on what this is saying, and this will clearly show you that his ancestors would have owned slaves, and that's how they would have come to own a lot of lands. And let me say this, in my country, the people who own the most lands in this island is a family called the Punnett. And they are a white family in a predominant black country. They own the most lands, and no one in this country here own more lands than the Punnets. Okay, they had their own golf course and so on. They had their own casino a long time ago. I used to go down by the same golf course. They go over by the casino because the watchman and us was very, very, very close. I roam all the lands that they own down in the Vermont area. So I know exactly what I'm speaking about. Okay. So let me go again. So I come down to talk about 50 years after one of those ancestors had forfeited an inheritance of 10 acres of land and 2 slaves in St. Thomas back in the 1600s for a marriage which Goddard reported the family did not approve. I don't know what family it was, but they didn't approve of this marriage. Okay? That's another story for itself. I'm not sure all about that one, but I'm saying just listen to the reading of the article and read between the lines. Okay? Because I always say to you, everything that you are listening to from the lectures of Neville Goddard, that he said that was taught to him by Abdullah, it is Kemetic science. It is our African spirituality that was stolen way back from Kemet. And I'm saying to you, the Goddards have been placed on a pedestal in the Caribbean islands, and they're very highly respected people in the Caribbean, not just because they own businesses, but they knew how to carry themselves among the people. So the people would have hold a high respect for them because they would have understand the psychology of the people also. You have to understand that, okay? He said a businessman, Goddard, once managed the farmer Goddard supermarket and Fontabelle, and also engaged in farming in public service. He once served on the board of the Salvation Army and was at one time head the Duke of Edinburgh Award scheme in Barbados. So there were prominent figures in Barbados. The Goddards are prominent figures in Barbados. Okay? They have their legacy there and throughout the islands. I remember as a little boy, my grandmother, they always send us into the town and say, go to Goddards and buy this, go to Goddards and buy that. Because it's as though you could get anything for the home by going by the Goddards. And it was one of the oldest stores back in the island, in the city, in Kingston. So I know what I'm speaking about, and it's still there right now, but not as Goddards. It's as Curry's. One time it was Traders. Okay? Then one time it was Hazels, okay, and right now in my island you have Ace, you have Curry's, you have so much of different names, but it's the same one company, okay. Let me go on. It all came from the Goddards, and I would have done a vlog on this same channel. You can check it out also concerning the Goddards, okay, in the islands. So he said, okay, let me go back here, okay. So I read where I speak about he was the head of the Duke of Edinburgh Award scheme in Barbados. As an environmentalist, Goddard used his voice and pen to protest the construction of the Greenland landfill in St. Andrew. That is in Barbados. That's a parish in Barbados. He also started the Barbados National Trust Hikers in 1983. Paying tribute yesterday, Sandra Archer of the Barbados Hiking Association said on Facebook that the association was mourning Goddard's loss. As I told you before, he was a very prominent. The Goddards are very prominent in the islands, especially in Barbados. Okay, many of the people in my country do not know as much about the Goddards. Okay, but they know about the Koreans, business and so on. And many of them are working. And these are people who still believe in the Jesus and Mary story. Who still believe that there's a man in the sky and someone is coming for them when they die. And will give them pie when they die. Because they will go into the great by and by. Such fallacy. Such delusion. Archer wrote on Facebook, Mr. Goddard began to organize hikers in Barbados in 1983 as part of the Duke of Edinburgh Award program. These were on Sunday morning at 6 a.m. and lasted for 3 hours. I remember 2011 when I went to Barbados. I remember this lady who was invited me to go on one of these kind of hike, but I didn't know, the whole origin. But she was telling me they have all of these groups and so on. They normally go hike at certain times, so on. She wanted me to go hiking, but I would have went there for a natural bodybuilding contest, and I felt that I would have been very tired the morning after the night show, which would have been the Saturday night, and she was inviting me out the Sunday morning. But I realized when I woke up in the morning, I wasn't really all that tired, and I couldn't really take the hike. And get to know the young lady even more, but I didn't go on the hike, okay? Now, so it says also, now let me go on, this format has continued to this day, see? With the addition of the evening hikes and continued by the Barbados National Trust and currently hosted by the Barbados Hiking Association. Mr. Goddard has been a friend of hiking over the years, even when he was no longer able to hike and lead groups. Also mourning Goddard's passing are his son, Rennie, and partner, Margaret. Let me spell the surname, D-E-U-T-S-C-H. I don't know if it's douche or dosh or what, okay? But this is where the article ends. But my main point is to show you, based on this article, and I believe I provide the article in the description down below for you to read also. It appears that the Goddards, when they chase back their ancestry, that they would have owned slaves. So when I speak about what Neville would have thought, how he came from ancient Kemet, and I would have written in my book, Abdullah the Black Mystic from Ethiopia, Neville Goddard Mentor, which I would recommend anyone who's listening to me to get that book. Many people did not like what I would have written in that book, but I know I was following my intuition. I know I was doing the right thing when I was writing that book that way. When everybody wanted to hear me or wanted to read me speaking about oneness and all of these kind of things, I wasn't getting that. I was being honest and I was being real of how I was feeling within myself. And I'm so glad I follow my intuition. And that is why, my brother and my sisters, there are much more things I can say, but I'm not going to go into those things. All I want you to do is to read the article for yourself and read between the lines. And for someone who lives in the islands, I know how people uplift the Goddards and how, because when I read that same article, I went and comments how the people were thanking them for providing them with their jobs and so on. Okay? They never say anything bad about them, and I'm not here to say anything bad about them because I believe that they were carrying themselves as very decent people, you understand, among the people of the islands. But I have to bring the truth to you that basically when you go right back to the ancestry, they were slave owners. Okay? Just like in my country, you understand? I mean, there's a lot of people who not agree with me when I look at the Veras and I could call even more names, the Punnets and so on. And I know there was, I always say that. If I chase their ancestors back, they were slave owners. I can know all the people in my country. As a matter of fact, I know. I look at the lands they own and everything. I look at their complexion and everything. And I know, and I could chase it right back. And I can guarantee you the ancestors were slave owners. And they would have always taught them the power of the mind. They would have left that secret and keep passing it on and on and on and on and on and on. That's why they don't get mixed up with our people in this whole religion foolishness, except if they want to just use it to manipulate them. That's why, my brother and my sisters, when you realize that you're God in flesh, gods don't have religion, gods don't serve no one. A God knows that it is his own thoughts that creates his reality, and that he can create his reality consciously. And that a change of mind is a change of destiny. You're the Lord and Master of your destiny. A true master would know that you can never say I am and not referring to yourself. And the name of God is I am from generation to generation. That is why I'm saying to you what Neville would have taught ain't anything new, ain't anything revolutionary. The truth of that has already been known way back. Marcus Garvey, all of them been telling us to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. And that is why in this time, all the truth is coming forth for people to know the truth and to wake up and know the truth. Many people in Barbados do not know anything about Neville Goddard and what Neville Goddard would have taught. And many of them, even if they know, they would doubt and still hold to the idol, the white Jesus, the blonde hair, blue eye idol that was given to them. And even in the islands, there are many people, if you look at my blog that I did right in this island, show you all the pictures of the people been working with the company for how much a years. And these people would have left school having an employee mentality. And they believe them in doing great service. You understand? By working with these companies, which I'm not against that, because you must have employers and employees. It's balanced. But I'm saying everyone have the right to know who they are and know that they have a creative power and that they can use that creative power to achieve their every desire, and they should not be giving that creative power away to another, like calling on Jesus. I believe in the Jesus and Mary story that was forced upon our people to believe through slavery. So, with that being said, my brother and my sisters, I just want to update you concerning the passing away of Richard Goddard, who directly related to Neville Goddard, and look at their family history, the ancestry, and you see that they would have owned slave way back time of slavery. And that is why I wrote my book the way I would have written it, because I was reading between the lines and see Abdullah was saying to us, you must use reverse psychology. And any angle anyone come to try to debunk or refute what I am saying, they would not be able to be successful. If they say Abdullah wasn't real, if they say all of that, I came right back and show you the whole chemetic science and so on. There's no escape. This is true. This is time for us to wake up and use our power to achieve our every desire, because we know exactly who we are, and we are taking back our African spirituality that was known by our ancestors that they want us to understand in the right time and the right season, and this is the right time. So with that being said, my brother and my sisters, I want to thank you very much for listening to me, and I want to say to you, if this is the first time you're listening to me and what I'm saying is really resonating with you, making sense to you, and you have a subscriber already, I'm encouraging you to subscribe, to like, to comment, or to share this video. So with that being said, I want to say peace, love you all, I'm out.